All right, my friends, how are you today? Aaron here bringing you some honest astrology about the full moon we just had. I haven't been on here, so I wanted to talk about where we're at in astrology. So take it for whatever it is. This is just an astro update about our new moon, full moon, and where we're at now. We have a lot of interesting aspects going on. There's been a huge change as the sun has moved into Gemini, as Uranus is in Gemini. Uranus is creating a lovely trine over there to Pluto in fellow air sign of Aquarius. We've got Uranus making a very powerful connection to Neptune, which is in Aries, which is just freshly moved into Aries this year, as it's been in Neptune or in Pisces for about 16 years. So Neptune being our dreams and what we want to manifest, kind of the right brain stuff of the non-physical. It's like we're pulling from the ether, we're pulling from the clouds, from this place of what we want to see in our lives, what we want to manifest and bring out. And Uranus and Gemini is like breakthroughs of ideas. Okay, and that's really what I want to talk about is our minds right now. Uranus deals with our nervous system. Uranus is the ruling planet of Aquarius and deals with our nervous system. So being in Gemini, we have an amplification, if you will. Now let's check it out. We got Mercury here at 28 degrees. We've got the sun here at 9 degrees. This is back a couple days on May 31st instead of showing you today's date, the 2nd. So I'm just showing you this full moon and some of the aspects going on. Definitely to be noted is this Yod, finger of God, happening right here between the South Node in Virgo. Extremely important right now. Pluto in Aquarius and Neptune in Aries. Okay. The North Node connecting with Mercury. We have Jupiter making a septile to Uranus. Uranus, again, is the breakthrough, the breaking moment that could be positive or negative. Okay, it's the straw that broke the camel's back, and we're connected to our planet of expansion here in emotional Cancer. We also have a septile from Venus, which is in Cancer. Venus is our loves, want, and desires. Cancer is ruled by the moon. So this is dealing with our emotions, and our emotional moon we just had fully illuminated in the sign of Sagittarius. All of this is extremely important. These septiles are a gift from the universe, if you will. These are a special seventh harmonic that creates a very special connection with when the planets align this way. And you can see, boom, boom, boom. We have a lot of septiles going on right now. Saturn connecting the septile to Jupiter, the septile between... we have a sextile, right now between Uranus and Neptune. But there's a lot of energy. Let me come back to this. There's a lot of energy that's the universe giving us a gift. And that's important. And then that finger of God, the finger of God, 2 quincunxes. A quincunx is a 5/12, or these are sesqui-squares. Okay, the proverbial blind spot in astrology. We have this social transformation of social, transformation of community, transformation of society at large. Okay, that's one aspect of this. We follow this sextile down here, and it's connecting with Neptune. Okay, so Neptune and Pluto creating this sextile. The sextile, different than a septile. The sextile, these dashed blue lines, are when 2 different energies are working together harmoniously. Okay, so Neptune's saying, what do you dream of? What do you want to create? Well, with this breakthrough of technology that's happening, we have an opportunity to manifest these things at a lightning fast pace. Okay, so our powers of manifestation are very high right now, and means things can come to us much quicker. And when we have an emotional investment in that of which we're trying to manifest, this can come very, very fast. So be mindful of your thoughts. This is a huge aspect right now. Be mindful of your thoughts. I share stuff on my social media every now and then. I share some things. There's this video I shared maybe a week ago, and it's like one top just sitting there, a spinning top that's just sitting there on its side. And then zoom, they bring in another top or like 2 or 3 more. And then all the tops start hitting the one that's not moving, the idle one. And then because of their own gyroscopic force and the energy, the inertia of those tops that have so much momentum, the idle top that's laying to its side has no choice but to move because it's getting bumped into by the other spinning tops. So what ends up happening is it also starts spinning. It also creates its own gyroscopic force and inertia to keep moving and keep its own momentum. So it's important for us to understand that the people that we surround ourselves with are going to do one of two things. They're either going to encourage us and lift us up, which is what we hope for between our, coming from our peers, our friends, our family, but it's not always the case, is it? And you know this. So, and if that's something that's going on, drop a comment. Let me know what's going on in your lives. I always like to hear back from everybody that's checking these out. And it's like, right, how can we lift each other up? Or if there's people in our lives that aren't lifting each other up, aren't lifting us up, that are adding weight and pulling us down, this is a huge breaking point. Uranus, it's a huge breaking point for us to get in proper alignment. Now, I had seen something on my social media the other day, a friend of mine that I've had for a long time. He posted this image of the decline in Lego police. And the very last image, it was just like this happy Lego policeman. And then, and then the very last image was like gruff face, and it had like the helmet and the mask on. And it's just like, this is the recent 2026. So I looked it up, and it's not true. As so many things in Mark Zuckerberg's land of Facebook and Instagram and Meta, there's a lot of not truths out there. And those not truths are being fed to society, and they're having an emotional reaction on our hearts and our minds. Okay, so you see how this is all starting to tie in together. So when I looked this up, it's like, well, first and foremost, the image of this ICE member looking Lego character was actually from 2013. The recent cop has like flowing hair and a mustache. Okay, it's very interesting looking. Anyway, and it's like Lego heads can be taken off and any Lego head can be put on. So the original Lego head from 2013 was a smiling cop, kind of like a wink eye going on. And sure, he had more of the helmet and mask kind of thing going on, but that was from 2013. The point of me saying this is, there's a lot of us out here that could see that image, and we have an alignment, an emotional alignment. Oh, we don't like ICE agents, so we're going to just take this as truth, take it as factual, and then we're going to comment on it. We're going to have an emotional reaction, and our minds are going to be upset or whatever else is going on. But we have to be able to do the work, which is look up for yourself. Look it up for yourself. Determine what is factual or not factual. Now let's go back to the chart and make sense of all this. Okay, as we have Uranus and the Sun together, still within conjunction now today and the 2nd. Okay, this is like breaking points of self. Now, this is my information, like our personal information. Okay, my thoughts, my ideas, my communication, my words. Mercury rules, or is the ruling planet of Gemini and Virgo, where our south node is, making these very powerful connections to the moon, powerful connections to transformative Pluto, making a powerful connection to dreamy manifestation, could be anything Uranus, Neptune here, making another connection to Eris and Chiron, which is how we heal and how we deal with information that's presented to us, right? So just the same as that, like when I saw the information presented to me through the interwebs, through technology, Uranus deals with technology, and you see this square happening between Uranus and the south node. Linguistics and logic. This is your left brain. Pisces is your right brain. So our right brain is where the emotions happen. Our right brain is where we have anxiety and panic attacks. Your left brain, if we only worked out of our logical left brain, fear really wouldn't exist. Anxiety wouldn't really exist. There's this magical place between our left brain and our right brain called the corpus callosum, which is a set of little fibers that makes these two hemispheres of the brain communicate and talk to each other. And when we're in a fight or flight, when we're in anxiety, we're more dealing with our right brain than our logical left brain. So there's a very strong significance to the south node making all of these connections here to all of these major planets. And it's saying we have to use discernment. We have to think for ourselves. Because over here, they're going to say, well, this is bad, right? This information that we're being presented with is bad. I locked my keys in my car. This is bad luck. Okay, now Virgo is like, well, it's just something that happened. It doesn't necessarily make it good or bad. It's just something that happened. And it takes your own mind and your imagination saying that it's good or bad or indifferent, right? And at the same time, we can say, oh, we locked our keys out of our car or something like that. We can't get in. And maybe that has saved us from a terrible car crash or from something else that would have happened. You know, it's like the universe is always working in mysterious ways for our benefit. And it's to the human interpretation, it's through our eyes, ears, and, you know, all of our other senses that we want to say, we want to understand, and we want to define things. We want to categorize things and say that this is good, this is bad, this is great, this is unhealthy, this is healthy, this is acceptable, this is unacceptable. And there are paradoxes all throughout life, right? There are paradoxes everywhere. The same guns that protect people, a different group of people do not want to have guns to protect people, right? These are paradoxes. It doesn't mean there's one right or one wrong. They just both exist at the same time within our world and just simply are. So we have information that's being presented to us. Eris, the goddess of discord, right, I've talked about this many times. She writes on a pomegranate to the most beautiful one, and the 7 beautiful muses fight over who deserves that pomegranate, who deserves the recognition of being the most beautiful one. And then we have Chiron here, conjunct Eris as well, which Chiron is the wounded healer. And we have our own particular wounds dealing with our own ego here in Aries, okay? How do you deal with your own ego, and what do you do when you're presented with information, or if, God forbid, you're wrong about something and somebody presents something to you, like I did with my friend who I've known for so long. So when he's posting about Lego Man and being like, it aligns with his political worldviews, the fact is it's not truthful. So he's wanting to post something that's in alignment with him, but he's also spreading misinformation that's not factual, not truthful, that will disrupt and stir emotions between other people. Okay, so there's a lot of Mark Zuckerberg world, a lot of individuals out there that are posting stuff that's not necessarily real, so that we have an emotional reaction and feel in alignment with a certain group, a certain side, or categorize these as good, bad, whatever else, right? We kind of see that. So how do we deal with this information, and how do we heal this information? How do we deal with this information? Take a breath. Take a moment. Okay. Now, in Gemini, again, this is like my personal information. It doesn't necessarily mean it's right or wrong. It just means it's my understanding. Okay. Now, Virgo, Mercury in Gemini says those are trees. Mercury in Virgo says those are apple trees, or those are oak trees, or those are maple trees. There's a difference. Sure, they're just trees, but they're more specific. So Virgo is with all of these connections, it's saying specific details. Okay, don't just be a feather in the wind. A feather in the wind means you're going to be blown. You're going to be blown by everybody. I didn't think about that one before I said it, but I hope, whatever. So if you're a feather in the wind, that means you're lacking direction. And then anybody can just come and say, go in this direction or go in this direction. It means you're not having enough gravity and weight for yourselves to determine where you want to go or where you want to end up. It's just like, oh, whatever, kind of a blase say, whatever happens, happens. And if that's your attitude, then that's your attitude. But if you're trying to do something, if you're trying to create action, trying to create change, trying to create peace in your mind, being just kind of manipulated by every energy around you is not really a healthy place that we want to be in. Okay, so it's like we have to have a little bit more discernment. We have to be able to think for ourselves. So Gemini is just about information, and it's my information, and my information doesn't mean I'm right. Okay, so across the way, our Sagittarius moon, this is higher education. This is higher philosophies. This is, post grad school. This is deep psychology. This is astrology. This is religion, theology. Okay, we're talking about stuff that's so much more beyond our personal interests and things that are involved in our personal daily life. And that's why Sagittarius is the horse body with the man top. The man top, we have our prefrontal lobes, our frontal cortex, which is the crowning achievement of humanity. It's how we're able to communicate with one another and look at a tree, and we can say that's going to be a boat, or that's going to be a table, and we're going to feed my family on that table, or that's going to be a house that's going to be able to house my family and create protection for us, or that's going to be a violin, and we're going to be able to make beautiful music that's going to touch the hearts and souls of so many people. This is a powerful aspect of humanity. And when we can work with nature into creation, right? We are grand creators. And the horse body with the man top means we can travel across great terrain. There's nothing stopping us, no mountains, no waters, whatever. We can travel to great areas to learn more. So where our personal information has its limits, it has a ceiling, the Sagittarius energy across the way from Gemini says, no, we can learn more. We just have to go to great places in order to receive, in order to get it. You following me? So therefore, sometimes we have to be willing to understand that our perception is limited. Our awareness is limited. Our education is limited. It's simple. We don't have all the answers. So in order to learn more, we have to be willing to put in the work, use our feet to go to that, Theosophical Society, or learning from, astrologers or something like that, learning from different people who have done the work, who have excelled and become masters in psychology, or masters in whatever their field is. Right? So we can learn from other people that know more than we do. And that's how we raise our bar. We raise the ceiling. And then by doing the work, fact-checking things. This is discernment. We have the ability to use our own discernment. And with all of these connections happening here, again to the South Node, which is your logical brain, it's saying you have to use discernment, otherwise you're going to simply be manipulated. Your emotions will be manipulated into the favor of others. And then what happens, a lot of people that watch this channel, where was your Chiron when you were born? Taurus? That means how do you desire things when something is when something is an emotional turbulence or whatever. A lot of times people say, oh, I want to get this, I want to get a new thing, this new toy, this new piece of jewelry, this new whatever. This thing will make me happy and it will make me forget about this pain I'm feeling. Well, with Chiron and Aries right now conjunct together, and Chiron at the anerotic degree, this is like you've got to kind of sit with yourself. Sit in meditation, sit in silence, recognize if we're allowing other people's information to put us on tilt, if we're allowing other people's information to have an emotional reaction out of us, that's going to have an effect on our minds, right? This is a cluster of astrology going on right now. Everything is touching everything. And but I think to me, the biggest takeaway is us being able to discern, us being able to sit down and say, is this factual? Is this truthful? And I'm going to do the work myself in order to find out if that's truthful or not. I can't tell you, sometimes I've wanted to take some of the BS astrology that I see, new moons is, new beginnings, and full moons is we're going to see what we need to release. And it's like, it's such watered down stuff, and sometimes these get crazy amount of views, like some of the astrology I see, or even tarot. And it's just like, what the astrology, at least we're talking about real placements and real planets and something that's been going on for a long time. When you have like these tarot readers that are just like, oh, your ex is coming back this week and this is going on, Virgo, or it's just like, it's not personal. It's not really for your energy. I mean, this is a general reading, but it's a general reading about the collective. This isn't just some random like love, oh my God, your ex is coming back, or like this new beginning happening for you. It's just like, no, it's such bullshit. It's just absolute bullshit. And the only way for us to decipher what's bullshit and what's real is by doing the work. Is by like looking it up ourselves. And it's like, is this person, do they know what they're talking about? Fact check me, please. Does this person know what they're talking about? Or are they just saying things because astrology became trendy over the past 10 years or whatever? Because, do they really understand the frequencies of sound bowls and the mechanics of how this really works on the body? And mechanics is not the right word, but do we understand how these are having an effect on the physiology of the body? Do we understand what's going on? Or do we just, I'm a singing bowl person and now I'm doing this and then come to this healing? There's education that a lot of us have skipped over to just fit into a thing. And then now we're left with the world is just like, well, what's real and what's not? And it's like this AI. The breakthrough of AI, and how many people over the past year have I seen fretting about, I'm going to lose my job and we're going to do this and all this is going on, when we're coming to find out that AI costs more, it consumes more water and energy and money than hiring a person does. So we've wasted time fretting. Instead of focusing our time and our energy in the skills that we have to offer, which makes us unique, amazing human beings, we're giving our power away. We're just saying, oh, this terrible thing is coming and we're just going to give our power away. And it's an excuse to be weak. And it's an excuse to not be strong. We have to make this change, right? This is this breaking point. It is a breaking point. Astrological breaking point, and it's like something is shifting, and the shift is like we have to go back to discernment. How many people believe blind, wild fairy tale stories? How many people think there was a real immaculate conception? Like that's not even, and then all of a sudden Dionysus, who turned water into wine, which that was never real. No one worships Dionysus. Dionysus, I don't know how you ever say it. And then it's just like, we're just going to pass these down and we're going to make the character Jesus. We're going to make that character believe, like he turned water into wine and he was born of a virgin. It's like, now I've talked about that stuff on my channel all the time, so if you're new to this, checking it out, it's like the Virgin Mother Earth gives birth to the sun on December 25th, right? The three kings, the Orion's belt, align with Sirius and show us where the sun will rise on December 25th. So it's astrological. It's observable universe. And every 2,160 years, we change signs of where the sun rises at spring. All right? So during this age of Taurus, it was Baal, the bull god. Well, go back further. We don't really know much about this. We don't know anything about Cancer. This was the age of Leo and the Sphinx. We don't know anything about Cancer. We have the twin gods, Isis and Osiris. And there's other twin gods I can't think of off the top of my head. Then here in this 2,160 year era or age of Taurus, we had Baal, Bull-El, the bull god. Then during this 2,160 years of Aries, we had Father Ram, Abba Ram, Father Abraham. Then in this 2,160 years of Pisces, where he fed everyone with a loaf of bread and 2 fish, is the story of Jesus. And now we're in the age of Aquarius, where we're ruled by technology. We no longer have to look up and follow the sun to know what month it is, to know when do we plant food, when do we harvest our crops. We just simply look at our clock and calendar. So there's a certain amount of discernment that's almost taken away from us because the convenience of technology, it's just right here for you. So it's like, well, when everybody's just giving you the answers, everyone's just going to tell you how to live, and this is how to live, and this is what you should eat, and this is what you should do, and this is the feather being blown around by the wind. And it's just like, we have to be able to think for ourselves. We have to be able to do the work, the groundwork, and say, okay, this is what's presented to me. I don't want to just have an emotional reaction to everything that's presented to me. Something I say all the time: if you stop to appease every barking dog on the way to the beach, you'll never make it to your destination. I say that way too much, maybe not enough, but it's the truth, and it's very truthful in what's happening right now astrologically. And astrologically, it's like this is the universe guiding us to give us messages. That's all this wheel is. It's all this wheel is. This is about self. This is about others. This is about what's mine. This is about what's ours collectively. This is about my personal thoughts. This is about collective truth. This is about my emotions. This is about my business. This is about my ego. This is about the collective personalities. This is about specific words, things, linguistics. You can point to it and claim what it is. This is about belief, and not about fact, not about truth, not about knowledge. It's just about beliefs. Okay, this is very opposite. So this is just a giant wheel of balance, and then where these characters show up is just simply giving us a story to guide humanity. A story to guide humanity. That's all this is. And it's just like this stuff repeats and repeats and repeats. And there are so many things that can't be really answered for, like these metal tubes in the walls of China that are like 1 million years old, or is it Russia has them too? There's like, they're crazy old metal in these in these stuck in this rock that's like, this is so old, this predates our technology. Or how there's a helicopter on the side of a pyramid, or the walls of a pyramid in Egypt. It's like, that's a helicopter. One looks like a submarine. It's just like, we don't understand this. We found jar clays in Baghdad that have, when you put like vinegar in them, it has a reaction, a chemical reaction to create energy, which probably these were probably created to use light or something. Like, we don't really know, but it's like, our old world was much smarter than we give it credit for. And then we just think like we were primitive caveman 2,000 years ago. It's like, we have to be able to do a little bit of background. We have to be able to do a little work for ourselves to figure out who we are, and where we're going. So for the next week, let me come back to the chart here. I mean, that's kind of the message, is to be able to think for yourself, to not have an emotional reaction over everything that's being presented to you, but to kind of drown out the noise of other people, sit with what you do know, allow your emotions to study. Your emotions are saying, I want to learn more. I want to learn other ways of the world. I want to learn something that's outside of my limited awareness, my limited belief. And by doing so, I have the ability to manifest this life of my dreams. With Mars and Taurus, now let's come here. We'll just come back to where we're at now, today. Beautiful trine from our south node to emotional moon, now in Capricorn. This is going on today now. This moon squares Neptune. Neptune still creating that quincunx, or the sesqui-square over here to the node. So it's like, where is our brain stopping us from succeeding? Where is something in our head saying, I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough, oh, that just wasn't for me, my previous generation was able to do this, but I'm not able to do this, or I'm just cut from a different cloth, and I don't move like those big birds in the sky do, and maybe I'm a crow or a pigeon or something, and we see these giant groups swarming and moving through the sky, and we say, why don't I like that? Why don't I like these other birds? It's like, well, you got to create your own life, and you got to be excited about who you are and what you bring to the table. And sure, there's a lot of us, I'm sure, that are watching this. I'm certainly one of them. I don't move with that big flock of birds. I don't. I'm more of an owl. I kind of I do my own thing. Operate silently, you know. So it's just like, all right, where is this here? Business. And we're going to have business start to create this trine over here to Mars. And it's like, well, if we want to create business, we can't have an emotional reaction. And now Mercury's moved into Cancer with an opposition to our moon. And the moon, of course, rules Cancer. But then this is in big business Capricorn. Now, I'm going to break down those two elements for a second. Now, Cancer is the mom and pop shop. It's the home kind of, look, I run a little ice cream parlor. Me and my wife, I'm not married, so if you're curious. No, me and my wife, we run this, little coffee shop, cafe, ice, whatever it is, okay? And we hire our cousin and our nephew and our whatever, family, like people close to us. You clock in late, it's not the end of the world. You do something, you screw up, it's not the end of the world. I love you. You got to get here on time, but it's not the end of the world. Now, over across the way in Capricorn, this is Wall Street, big business kind of stuff, where you cost me money, you cost me time, you cost me money. This is not about an emotional reaction. I have to fire you. Okay. Now, what are we doing? Are we posting in Mark Zuckerberg world? And I've seen this in the past week. I saw somebody in like a big, if you don't know, I work in television and film, production, sound mixer, and there's a big group on that we all communicate and talk to each other from the low to the very top of the big Hollywood players. Okay, and there's somebody in that group that has been posting stuff that's so immature and emotionally triggered, like very emotionally triggered individual, to where the point is, these other professionals, like, they see a big red flag and are like, I am not going to hire this person. I am not going to bring that person's energy anywhere near this set because of what they're posting, because they're having an emotional reaction on social media. Okay, how does this tie into astrology? Let's come back and look. Oh, there we go. So this is our information. Right? Breakthroughs in information. This is the society. This is the community transformation. You might be good at what your job is. However, when you're having these emotional turbulences, and Jupiter's saying more right now. Venus is in here. Jupiter's saying more. More emotions. So when you're heightened, when you're angry, it's like you want the world to feel it. You want everybody to know your wrath. Okay? So when you want everyone to know your wrath, and now Mercury's joined the party as well. Well, first it was the past month, it's been, or a couple of weeks, it's been in Gemini, which is still, well, my emotions or my thoughts are the way it is. And it's like, not necessarily. And if you spot off to the boss because of your thoughts that you think you can do it better or whatever, this is a quick way to get you fired. And that's what's going on. So there's like, coming from, we have this responsibility, we'll call it that. We have a responsibility as being a human and what we're communicating. And we can feel, I like Machiavelli's stuff a lot. If you don't know Machiavelli or Carl Jung, I strongly recommend looking up some of their work on YouTube. It's important that we have discernment, and it's important that we don't just spout off and have every little emotional thing bringing it into the workplace, because this is extremely dangerous times right now. So we have to be mindful of the words that we're communicating and how we're communicating them. And it's like, this is a balance, because sometimes you really want to, like, for example, this is a great possibility. My friend that I posted about the Lego thing, we work together in the same industry. He's a camera operator. I'm a sound mixer. Peanut butter and jelly, baby. So my friend, if I have proposed that he's wrong, that what he's putting out there is incorrect information, and I'm calling him out on it in a respectful manner, But still, calling him out on that, people don't like that. People don't like to be told that they're wrong. People love to be standing in their power of their own truth. But your truth is not necessarily factual for all. It's not factual for the whole world. Okay? So when we're inserting our opinions and we're inserting our knowledge or our awareness into somebody else who's creating an illusion, and when you pop that bubble of illusion, it's not, people generally aren't like, hey, Aaron, thanks so much for letting me know I was wrong about that. Very, very rare. It's usually like, hey, Aaron, you're kind of a dick, right? And it's like, okay, if you want to project that onto me, that I'm a bad person because I'm supplying you with a fact or a truthful statement when you're trying to have an effect, again, and how many people does that go out with? Thousands of people? Friends with thousands of people had seen that post, right? So I saw another one. Listen to this. A friend of mine had posted about what the Virgo eclipse, and it was this picture of Elmo, like, oh my God, of course there's going to be a Virgo eclipse happening at 3:33. And they live in the Eastern time zone with me. And they said, hey, that eclipse doesn't actually happen until 6:33 our time. And people came down on me and were mad, and they were calling me all kinds of names because I supplied them with a fact. Because it's like, in the back of my mind, if you're going to go out and look at the full moon at 3:33, it's not. The eclipse doesn't happen for another 3 hours. So in my mind, I'm helping somebody out by giving them information. If you try to open a flower before it's ready, it'll probably die. If you try to rush something, if you try to eat your meal before it's cooked, probably going to get a stomachache and some bacteria. If you try to open somebody's mind with logic and they're still in make-believe land, it's not always well received. Okay, and you can see, I'm sure, how this all ties into this astrology. So we have to be using our discernment of when it's an appropriate thing to communicate with the outside world and share this stuff, because it can be viewed as a negative, even if it's something positive that you're putting out there. And even for something, right, like if I talk about like Jesus and stuff, I've lost so many followers on this channel because I just simply don't believe in Jesus, and I always come back to the observable universe and astrology. And sure, I've lost people because of that, because they don't want their bubble of their personal truth to be popped. And say, no, I would rather believe that a man turned water into wine and he fed everyone with a loaf of bread and 2 fish. And I would rather believe that this Adam and Eve story, and God punished the very first 2 humans, and he put them through a test. He put them through a test to see if they would be obedient or if they were to think for themselves. And because they chose to think for themselves, God said, I'm going to punish you and all of your kin for all of eternity. And then a couple thousand years down the road, I'm going to say, oh, well, I'm going to impregnate this virgin girl without her knowing. I'm going to send an angel to let her know that I'm impregnating her, and that her son is going to be the savior of the world, and that now we can eat the blood and the flesh of Jesus, and you will be saved from your sins that God, gave you the options to make. That story is so insane. And I'm sorry, I'm not trying to offend you. My job is to share truth. And we can debate it if you want. But my job is to share that truth. And people do not like when their bubble of truth gets popped. So we have to be mindful sometimes, right? So it's like I don't go around everywhere I'm at. And it's like I don't walk into a church and say, Jesus isn't real. Listen to my sermon. You know, it's just like I had to create my own place to be able to preach that sermon, if you will, you know? So there's a little bit of something here going on for all of us. It's like, create this. You have the ability, again, to manifest something right now. And if this is like business, and then here's something else I've been saying, when people don't like policies that are going on right now, and this is turning into a long video, but people don't like policies right now, but most of them just bitch. That's all they do is bitch, right? So they get on their computer and they're just, I don't like this thing, but do actually nothing to create change in their world. Because when you complain about something or when you talk about something, when you're, if it's just like, oh, I'm writing a book right now. Okay. And this is why they say, like, don't tell people this kind of stuff. It's like when you say I'm writing a book, or there's this thing I'm trying to create, or there's this thing I'm doing, the same dopamine hits go off in your brain as if you've already accomplished it. So we can get stuck in this, well, we're just going to talk about all the things that we're going to do, but we never do it. As a Capricorn, I cannot stand when people do that. Like, it's like, oh, you're presenting an idea to me? Let's build it. Let's create it. Oh, you have this idea for a show. Let's write it out. You want to do music? Well, let's practice. But then when it comes down to like the get together to practice, to rehearse, when it comes down to let's write the script, most people just want to talk about it. They don't actually want to create something in their lives. So this is an opportunity with the sun here in Gemini, Uranus in Gemini, creating this powerful connections of breakthrough and this powerful manifestations with Neptune, our emotional moon in Capricorn, which is about business. And it's like, let's make it real. Quit talking about it and do something about it. We have this major blessings, all these septiles that are going on, these blessings from the universe that are saying, yes, build it and they will come. And a lot of people get stuck with this is the Gemini thing. Well, I don't know if I want to make a meadow and draw in cows, or if I want to have a forest and draw in the deer, or if I want a jungle and draw in the monkeys. And then they have in their mind, or they get stuck and stifle and idle because they want the monkeys, the cows, the deer, and all the animals of the meadow, all the animals of the jungle, and all the animals of the forest to come and appreciate their thing. The truth is, it's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. So we have to be able to define and create, right? You have to define and say, okay, this is what I'm going to stick with, and we're going to go from there. So part of it is just like, if you want to write it, just start writing it, you know. And again, there's this beautiful aspect of like ignoring the rest of the world right now and its chaos, so that you can bring forward what you need to bring forward in this world. There are so many consumers, and it's just like the stuff that we're consuming right now through Zuckerberg world is like fluff. It's like a lot of kind of crap, right? It's not something meaningful, powerful that's going to help people. There's just a lot of like, look at me, and this is my, I don't know, maybe that's my algorithm, but you know, it's just a lot of fluff. It's not something that, you know, it's just like, okay, well, you can be a consumer, or you can be a creator. And if you want to create something in this world, or you want to create change about these policies that are going on that you're not for, that you're not happy with, then we have to do that work and take our little horse body and go far distances to be able to talk with the right people in the right conversations that those tops are spinning to create momentum and inertia in our lives to manifest that which we're trying to create. That's a lot. That's a lot. So, but I mean, you know, I wasn't here for the new moon in Gemini, and I wasn't here for the full moon in Sagittarius. I feel bad about that. There's been a lot going on in my personal life as well. So I needed to make up for lost time and share a bunch of stuff with you. And I hope it all sits well. I hope you pulled something from this. If there's something going on in your life, there's something that resonates, please, again, I love engaging with people. Drop it in the comments or whatever. It's a small channel. It always helps it grow. So, friends, happy illuminations of whatever's going on in your lives. I'm excited for whatever you're manifesting. And as always, I love you. I wish you enough, and we'll see you next time.